Good afternoon. It's noon just on Monday, the 8th of June, and we're here to talk about the publishing industry. So we have, and I've got two stalwarts of self-pub selfpubfest.co.uk, um, and who we've talked in the past with varying people about our writing journey as author spotlights on YouTube, about those specifically one-to-ones. And we've talked about marketing, which could be a topic every day, all day, with different panelists, because I think it's the thing we struggle with most, and we do find it eats into our writing. But we're here today, and we'll probably touch on all aspects, but we're here today to talk about the publishing industry. So I'm going to start with that, Andy, because you are the newest of the three of us, with one book published so far, and you're working on your second.
Yes.
And I know you've had an interesting journey to publication. So can you start us off by saying how long you've been, when you came to publishing, and I know it was kind of an accident, and how you feel about the publishing industry. And it's been a fairly short journey so far, so I don't know whether you've seen any changes. And of course, we will be talking about AI at some point.
Okay. Well, it's nice to be here again. Um, I was asked to write a book, and I hadn't really thought about how it was going to be published. So I went up to the London Book Fair to find out about publishing, and it was really quite scary. And so I didn't sort of jump with 2 feet in together. But I also knew that because I knew nothing about publishing, I really wanted to have my hand held and supported because I didn't want to put a book out that was half baked and not a good book at all. Um, so I then got home and I sort of looked at the internet and I looked at different publishers and I bought some brochures back and I thought it all was all quite. I knew because I was a new author, I wouldn't get an agent. So I thought that self-publishing was the best route to go. And I found some people online that were much, much cheaper than like Troubadour, and they offered so much more. But they were in America, which didn't really sort of concern me at the time because I've lived all over the world. So it just didn't seem to matter.
No.
But I ended up sort of going down a rabbit hole of, first of all, not knowing what I was doing, wanting to be supported and spending too much money, and then finding that these people have just sort of disappeared. So I've been left without support. I'd also sort of really decided in the process that as I was going to be writing a second book, a sequel to the first one, that I would know what to do the second time and go it alone. So I'm going to republish the first book.
Oh, great.
I'm going to have a go at doing the cover design myself because I quite like doing art.
Mm,
And I'm going to sort of change the cover of the first book as well. But marketing's the big thing. If you have, was it 3 million books published a year?
yeah.
How does yours stand anywhere,
uh,
in that mass of books?
mm.
So, yes, if you want my advice on publishing, it's what not to do, I think.
Right. Yes. Have you got your book handy? Because
Yes, I
I know
have.
you've had some feedback in these sessions,
Yes.
um,
Oh, yes,
that
yeah.
it's because it's tiny. Because
Yeah.
everybody readers judge a book by its cover,
Yeah.
and so when you're seeing that as the size of a postage stamp,
Yeah.
NASA blends in too well,
Yeah.
and so I think redesigning the cover is a good idea. It's a
Yeah.
really interesting, and it does
It
what it says on the tin.
it just
Yeah.
needs the title to be a bit brighter and the
Yeah.
name to be brighter and bigger.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
your name. We've talked about your name
Yeah.
before.
Yeah. Well, that
Your
that
name.
was me trying to hide,
Yeah,
you know, pretending it really wasn't me doing anything about it at all, I
yeah,
think.
yeah.
Um,
The great thing about I find from the publishing industry, especially self-published authors, is that if you go on Facebook put your cover on Facebook, there'll be so many people who will give you honest advice. A lot of people will say they'll really like it, but they'll really like it, but just do this and do that and do the other. And it's interesting that you said from your publisher that you took them on because you wanted support. The whole industry for me is a supportive network. I compare us to being learner drivers. You know, we get in a car with somebody beside us. We don't know what we're doing. And you'd like to think that all the other drivers out there are going to be kind to you because you've got the L above you. Some are, some aren't. And that's the way the industry, but generally on the whole.
That's such an interesting metaphor, because that is literally what happened with me.
Was it?
I was doing an MA and started to give the screenwriting tutor a lift home.
Right.
He started persuading me to self-publish in a car as I was driving. So
funny.
How
long ago are we talking? I know you've got a nerdy Excel spreadsheet, which
I've got my spreadsheet open because I knew the spreadsheet up, but I don't know the answer to that one. I think it was 2010, 2011, maybe.
Yeah.
When I did the MA.
Right.
I did it as an intensive 1 year. And I should have done it over 2 years because I enjoyed it. I could have enjoyed it for 2 years instead of one. But there we go.
You did again. Do another one.
Well, I've thought about doing the PhD, but no, maybe not.
Right.
Because it's very, very expensive. And over a 5-year period, you have to write a novel and a 20,000 word essay on your approach.
Okay.
And I'm thinking, what do I do for the other 4 years?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
It doesn't take 5 years to write a novel.
Well, how many would you say? Okay, how many books? Do you know how many books you've got, David?
I've published 16 novels.
Okay.
And a novella and a non-fiction book.
Right. Over 15.
Well, 16 years. Yeah, I'm averaging. I can look it up on my spreadsheet and tell you exactly.
They're just under one a year, but you got 5.
I'm doing 1.3 books per year, but I have 5 in the pipeline, so my batting average is going to be a bit higher than that.
Brought down by your 42-year book.
Yes. 42 years ago, I started writing this book with a mate, James, and we finally got the thing out. I learned so much in that process about how to go about writing. As Andy was saying, I know all the mistakes now.
Yes.
Well, maybe not all of them, but a lot. Yeah.
So, David, what would you say is are the pros and cons of being in the publishing industry? Very big, sweeping question.
Oh gosh. Well, I suppose the pro is I am creatively fulfilled in that I can write anything I want to write because I self-publish. And I suppose the downside is all this marketing you have to do and the fact that you don't sell any books. Yeah, that would be it, really.
Well, I've just published a couple of days ago. I published a book for a friend. It's on ebook and paperback called Wave Goodbye, and it's set on a cruise cruise ship, small cruise ship, and I took great delight this morning, although I suspected what happened did happen, in doing a screenshot because I published it under my publishing company. And we'd sold one copy, one ebook, for the royalty of 35p because it's up on 99p. And I took a screenshot and sent it to him this morning, and he phoned me up and he said, I just got a thumbs up. And this is his second book, so fair enough, it's not his first. But the first one isn't available in an ebook and is only paperback, and it's out of print. He did self-publish it, but the friend he did it for him is no longer with us. And so I got a thumbs up, and I thought he'd be a little bit more excited than a thumbs up.
Yeah.
So he rang me and he said, "Oh yes, I knew we'd get one copy because I bought it." So there we go. But we're not doing. I'm not doing any marketing, although it comes under my name as well because I'm on there as a collaborator. Because I mentored him and published it and edited it and so on. But he knows a lot of people in the know, so it's going to go in the cinemas. He knows various contacts kind of up there, but not in publishing, sadly. But he's more than happy. If he sells a copy that somebody he doesn't know has bought it, then that would be great.
That
But
was the advice.
it's getting the word out there.
Yeah, that was the advice I was given early on, is don't check your sales every hour.
No, I don't.
Just
I do it
get
once a
depressed.
week.
Oh.
I do mine once a month.
Do you?
That's funny. Yeah, it's funny you should say that because I publish a blog every Monday morning, and by lunchtime I'm on there checking how many people have opened it up.
Right.
It's my Monday obsession.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I did to start with. I'm in the I'm grandfathered in. There's a American chap, I think California, called Brian Cohen, Brian with a Y. And he runs a group called, it used to be Amazon Ads for Authors, but now obviously with Facebook and so on, it's Authors Ad School. And I remember him saying once that in one of the Zooms, only check your stats once a day. And so many of us said only once a day. We check them sort of every hour, at least at the beginning of the day and the end of the day. And I think it's yes, you can get too fixated with how many.
Wait a moment. If you're running ads, you really do need to keep on top of them.
Yes.
So when I say check them once a month,
yes.
Yeah.
No, this is just the royalty figure. Yeah, no, if you're doing Amazon ads is a full-time job.
Yeah,
really.
That's the problem, isn't it?
Daily reports and so on. Yeah. I haven't been looking at mine for ages, so I lose money. So it is something that's relatively high on my jobs list to go through it. But do either of you look at your reviews? Because that's another aspect of the industry and being an author. Andy, do you look at your reviews?
I haven't had any reviews. I've had lots of personal ones come back to me.
Right.
Which and sort of engagement from people I know who've read the book, but I haven't had any sort of reviews online.
Right. You have rated, because that's the thing. I always think it's a little bit sad when somebody leaves a low review for something that's not actually anything to do with the book. And Amazon are supposed to not let you put reviews, because they've not let me put reviews where something's not necessarily. I wouldn't put it if it's 3 days late or something, but if it is relevant, that it arrived scuffed or something, then maybe. But yes, they're supposed to.
Yeah, I read this book. It was fantastic and gripping, a real page turner. But they delivered it when I was out, and they left it on the step, and it got wet. 1 star.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. So annoying. But I think people should. There are so many. I think 99.9% of people who do bother to leave a rating don't leave a review. And so I think we need to know, and often on Facebook we'll see authors who go, there are various versions of a poster that say the best thing you can do for an author is leave a review on.
I think we ought to say to people as well that the review doesn't have to be a big critique of it. Just brilliant 5 stars.
Yes.
That's fantastic, because it's a numbers game, sadly.
It is. Yeah.
And it's also, if you like a book, leave 5 stars, because Amazon, it's 5 stars or 1 star. You like it or you don't like it. The 3 stars, 4 stars, that might work in, the Edinburgh Fringe, 3 and 4 star reviews for a show. Told you it was a good show. But it's not the case on Amazon. It is the case on Goodreads, isn't it? A 4-star review, a 3-star review says it's a good book.
Yes.
Amazon, sadly,
yeah, Goodreads audience is really, because they're serious readers on Goodreads.
It's significantly more
really harsh. So if you might have a 4-star average on Amazon for a book, and then have a 2.5-star on Goodreads, because they do pull it apart on Goodreads.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't go on there very often. Whenever I sign into Goodreads, it's like, oh, hello, we haven't seen you for a long time, or we've forgotten your password or something.
Yeah. One of the great Amazon purges of reviews hit me quite hard. So I've not been checking my reviews since then because it's been depressing, including the reviews where you nick a little bit for the back cover of your book, and that's gone. And you're thinking, oh, no.
Yeah, this is why I love blog tours, because another thing, you're finding other people within the industry, and although so many, as Andy said earlier on, 3 million books published each year, it is a relatively small industry. I had a friend request from a non-fiction author. He's a vet, and so he writes vet-related funny books, called Malcolm Welshman. And he is a blast from the past. And there are sort of key people who I remember from being fairly early on. And now there are so many people who they might click your like and then you register the name and then it goes. Whereas there are, I think you remember the people you first interacted with, and they find a new author they like, and then you'll be not necessarily friends for life, but I think there's a core set of people that you really relate to. And it's lovely. And every now and then there'll be a familiar name pop up. Or you go to a festival and you see people that you've only ever met, either just name or on Zoom or something. Do either of you, I know David, you go to a lot of book fairs.
I go to science fiction conventions, 2 a year,
Right.
without fail. And obviously I've sold books there and to strangers, and they've become friends because, you write books that you want to read. They read books that you've written that you wanted to read. You've got something in common, haven't you? Straight away. So it's an icebreaker. And then you talk about the weather and all sorts of other things.
Yeah. We have a very good technique for selling books.
Oh, you mean carrying a box through the bar? I haven't done that for a long time because I've made too many books now and I can't physically do it. Right. But certainly when I started out, carrying a box through the bar and struggling under its weight, people took pity on me and bought a book.
Yeah.
And then I snuck out and topped up.
Andy, other than Self Pub Fest in April, have you been to any events?
Yes. Well, I found out about yours because I did the Milton Keynes one.
Ah, yes.
And I did, well, NASA and I were going to read two parts of the book, but as a presentation, and he dropped out at the last minute with nerves. So I did his bit and my bit and the introductions and everything. So I was sort of bobbing up and down on the stage, putting things on the floor and picking them up.
Right.
And that's about all I can remember of that particular sort of book fair. But it was interesting seeing what a variety of self-published books there were at the fair. But I think it was the children's books that were sort of the most popular part of that.
Yes. It's really interesting because it was in Milton Keynes Shopping Centre. I think it was September or October.
Yeah.
And I tried going to various events throughout the year. And I think I broke even. But the trouble with that one is that I was in the crime section and I write crime fiction, women's fiction. It wasn't a huge, I think there were probably about 30 or 40 of us. There wasn't a huge place anyway. So I think anybody who came probably looked around the whole thing. But I think with the cost of the books, I probably made a loss with parking as well and petrol from Aylesbury to Milton Keynes. But for me, it's sitting for 6 hours and hoping that someone's going to come up. It's quite frustrating if someone comes up to you and chats a bit. Oh, I love your serial data. My friend's dating. She'd love that book. Thanks very much. Nice to meet you, and go off.
Yeah.
And you think, buy a book for the friend. And so it was the whole day because you get there for whatever it was, 9 o'clock, 8 o'clock. And it's packing everything up, going. And I collected Donna Morfitt on the way. And so I think she'd do it again. I would go and have a look because I must admit I spent quite a lot of my time handing out self-pub leaflets because it was around the time I decided to do it and had got at least the venue. It might have been November actually. So I think a lot of people were there for Christmas shopping, which was perfect for books, a perfect shopping Christmas present. but it's September this year, so they brought it forward. But I did say on that I didn't think the venue, although you'd think a shopping centre would be ideal, people were there to go shopping, not for the Lit Fest.
Books, yeah.
So I
yeah.
think a dedicated venue would be better. And
Yeah.
I've been to MK Lit Fest when it's been a dedicated venue, and it's been packed. So
Yeah.
um,
But I mean, I'm fairly new to the area, so sort of I know a limited number of people. But it was surprising how many people came past the book fair who sort of recognised me sitting down there from other things that I've been doing.
yes.
You know, like somebody who I swim with said, "Oh, I know you from the swimming pool," you know, and so that I thought that was quite nice. It makes you feel you belong to a town, really.
Mm.
Um,
No, absolutely. David,
yes.
do you have a favourite festival or fair that you would say, right, this is the, if I could only go to one, this is the one I'd go to?
Well, I would have answered that as EasterCon, which is the British National Science Fiction Convention. But I also I was a guest of honour at ArmadaCon and keep going back there to the extent where I know I'm programming. So
right.
I wonder if that one's beginning to.
Are they all the Birmingham area? Because I know you travel. You can
No,
travel quite a bit.
ArmadaCon is always in Plymouth. Nice little
Okay.
connection down in Plymouth.
Wow.
And EasterCon moves around the country.
Right.
So it's been in London, it was in Birmingham, then it's in Belfast.
Okay.
It's coming back to it's Glasgow next year, and then it's coming back to Birmingham.
Right.
So it moves around.
Yeah. Yeah. Wow. So, Andy, how do you feel about your second book? What would you do? I mean, obviously, you're looking at self-publishing, and there are people who can help you.
About going through the publishing process. Well, I've already got an editor, well, a beta reader and an editor lined up. I'm going to have a go at doing the cover on Canva, and if I fail at that, I'll get somebody else to sort of polish it up.
Yeah.
I know somebody who runs a printing company to get it published.
Great.
So I shall sort of work down that line. So I've sort of got little bits in place. As far as the marketing goes, I shall sort of put it out there on Facebook and on Amazon and sort of pay for a little bit of that. But am I expecting big sales? No, not really. Why am I doing it? I think I'm doing it because I have the joy of writing. And I really do think that it is a story that needs to be shared. I mean, particularly with what's happening in the Middle East now. Um, Lebanon is sort of slowly being destroyed. And it's only a sort of a small faction of people in Lebanon that Israel doesn't like. Israel's got control over part of Syria, and we never hear that in the news.
No.
It's got a state called Suwaida in the south of Syria, and they're under the pretext of supporting a Druze minority. So, I think we look over at that part of the world and just see it as one entity, and it really isn't. And most of the things that happen there have been through sort of European colonial meddling over the last sort of 100 or so years. So we do sort of bear a responsibility to it. So that's why I think it's a story worth telling.
Yeah,
And
absolutely.
I've tried to put sort of European eyes on it, as an explanation.
I mean, that's the strength of self-publishing, is that you can write a book that you feel needs to be written. You don't have to go to an agent or an editor in a traditional publishers and convince them.
Yeah.
You can just do it.
And it's such a quick process by comparison, because could be a couple of years by the time your book's published if you go traditionally.
Yeah.
I mean, we've had the conversation before about doors being opened or doors being shut to us as self-published authors, whether it's a local bookshop. There's one lady, I was chatting about this the other day. There was a lady I met when I was looking after one of the Tring book swap library, and she stopped and chatted and said, "Oh, I'm a children's author," and we were talking. And we were saying about local bookshops, and she didn't say which one it was, but she'd mentioned a couple of others, so I know it wasn't that one. And she said, I went in and she said, well, hello, I'm a local author. And apparently the bookshop owner or the manager or the person presumably in charge went, no, not interested.
Yeah, it's a big problem not being able to get into bookshops. Self-published books overtook traditionally published books in terms of sales and in terms of money made in 2014.
Wow.
So we're a bigger market than traditional
ago.
publishing. And yet we don't get any of the press, we don't get any bookshops, we don't get to literary festivals unless we organise them ourselves. You're thinking you're missing out.
Yeah.
My screenwriting colleague did a lecture on self-publishing, and he was talking about authors who make a decent living. We're not talking J.K. Rowling standards, but people who make, a decent living, an average.
More than the minimum wage.
More than the minimum wage, that's a good way of putting it.
I think it's the average.
He listed all of these people and talked about it. Sadly, he then talked about, the Mark Dawsons of the world, which sell a lot. But just decent living. And then he asked them if he'd heard of any of them. And none of the students had heard of any of these authors. No. And yet they're bestsellers. But there does seem to be two worlds, not just in terms of, traditional publishing, bookshops and a certain type of readership. Yeah. Self-publishing, you go mostly through Amazon, let's be honest. And that readership, and it doesn't seem to be a lot of overlap.
Yeah.
It seems very strange.
I'm starting to gather. I just say I'm starting to gather self-published because I look after a lot of the dozen or so of the local bookshop libraries, and so I get given donations, and whenever I see a self-published book, and they're fairly obvious, because either it's a very matte cover where it's sort of almost velvety, which feels lovely but scuffs terribly. But it's the barcode on the back, and if you open the back cover, it says printed by Amazon. And often doesn't have a publisher's logo on it. And so I'm gathering them and then contacting the authors.
I should make up a publishing logo, shouldn't I? Put it on my.
You absolutely should. Yes, I have August Publishing, which I don't know which of my books it's on. Get one of the latest. Oh yeah, one of these.
Yeah.
So yes, my birthday, you can't really see it. Oh, that's a bit bigger there.
Yeah.
There. So it's in focus. Anyway, it's a very pretty picture of a lion, because I'm August, so I'm Leo. And it's August Publishing, and my dog is called Gus. So from August. August Publishing, right. which was up until a couple of days ago just me and Rachel Kavanagh and Morgen Bailey, thanks to Amazon not letting me have my own. If you search for Morgen Bailey, it comes up with Morgen Bailey. So, and I've battled with them, talked about this before as well. I've battled with them for months, and it usually gets to the top as far as I can go, a supervisor. And they go, no, we're not. You're too unusual spelling, and people will think of Morgen. And even though I've got 40-something books, and I think there's a Morgen Bailey, or Morgen Lee Bailey, and so her books are there. And every now and then I get a spammer. We'll talk about that in a minute. Spammers and scammers, where I get an email. Hi Morgen, we love this book. Something, it's got God in the title, and I just email back and say it's not my book, and then block them, or I just block them if I can't be bothered to reply.
I wouldn't reply.
I have a really long sarcastic thing that I copy them.
I remember you saying, yeah.
And it's almost, I get so many of these, and they do this wrong and do that wrong. Why would they? In other words, it's a very thinly veiled kind of, you're yet another one who does all of this.
Well, writers are so desperate to get published that they become very vulnerable to people scamming them.
Yeah.
I did want to ask Andy about her publishing deal, because a couple of red flags came up when you were describing it.
Yeah. Yes, I know. But, as as I sort of made the choices, I thought I was doing the right thing. And because I didn't know the industry,
Yeah.
um, but the interesting thing is, I mean, you know, totally my fault. But I've heard of so many other people who've just done exactly the same thing that I've done.
Did you
And
pay? Did you pay money to them?
yes, I did. Yeah, I know. But you see, I was paying for a service.
Yeah, I mean,
And
you say it's your fault. It's not your fault unless someone points it out to you. How are you going to know?
yeah,
Um, I come across people who've been scammed like this 2, 3 times a year, and it's upsetting
yeah,
because they've wasted their money, and they could, with just a little bit of help from people like New Street Authors or the Minifest group or
Mm.
stuff, avoid that.
Mm. It's
well,
knowledge, isn't it?
yeah,
People, I say when I do WI talks and so on, when we talk about publishing, I say yes, it is more difficult than attaching an email to a document to an email, but the process, once you've got everything together, that's all it is. You just go on Amazon, go on your bookshelf, you click on publish an ebook first, and then connect it to a paperback. And then all you're doing is uploading files, and putting in the information that is required, the blurb and how much you want to charge and so on. So,
I have to do my plug now, I'm afraid.
oh, do.
But
Yes,
there's
do.
the Andy Conway, who was this screenwriting lecturer, and who persuaded me. Very, very quickly, I became a convert, and we wrote a book together on exactly why and how you should self-publish. Publishing. And the first third or so is an argument for explaining what it is, everything, and then it's how to go about it, all in very simple steps.
Yeah.
When we were doing this, we got someone to beta read it, and she said, "Oh, I've got a book that I wrote, which is with somebody." So she went to the publisher, got her book back,
Right.
and then followed our advice and published her book faster than we got this out.
Wow.
So it works,
Yes. It's just knowledge, isn't it? If you don't know how to do something, you think it's going to be more difficult than it necessarily is. I mean,
I think that's the book for me, by the way.
This one.
I think that's the book
publishing.
for me.
Oh.
Yeah.
And
what's it called? Punk publishing.
Punk publishing.
Publishing.
Okay.
Yes.
The idea being that you do it yourself.
Yeah.
Punk bands, it was all
indie. Yeah.
Nick a guitar, learn 3 chords, now you're in a band.
Yeah.
It's that kind of attitude.
Oh,
all the independent labels came out of the punk movement of doing it yourself.
Yeah.
So that's the ethos. None of the Mohicans and safety pins and spitting. Obviously, we're not advising that at all.
What a shame.
Do you find that has publishing changed, David? So you looking at your book now, do you need to do I don't want to put Andy but off buying that edition, but because obviously the publishing industry changes.
Yeah, there is this is the first edition. We have brought out a second edition.
Okay.
And we need to do a third edition because of the artificial intelligence stuff that's turned up since the second edition. Although it's just a box on Amazon, you've got a tick to say you didn't use AI.
Yes.
You did, I suppose.
Yeah.
So you can easily follow this advice, and you'll only be surprised once when it turns up.
Right. So what changed between the first edition and the second edition? Can you remember?
Yes. There was a couple of changes in the interface which we had to go through. A major change was the costing. In the first edition, you could either publish through Amazon, KDP, and get your paperback books turning up instead of ebooks, or you can get your own printed in a local printers. And it used to be that if you got about 25 books you're going to order, it was cheaper to go to a local printer.
Okay.
In the second edition, out of pure vanity, I decided to redo the figures with my latest book as the example.
Yeah.
It was, yes, vanity entirely. And I was shocked to discover that it was not cheaper going to a local printer, even if you were doing 10,000 books.
Wow.
That was absolutely astonishing.
Wow.
Now, I still go to a local printer I can't show you because I've got one here. But you can do special limited editions with inside covers printed and so forth. So I do that, even though it is a little bit more expensive than KDP.
Well, I did yes, here we go. For my friend Jonathan Durden, whose book Wave Goodbye I've just published, I did a document called Publishing Info. So it was this is the process from once the book's finished. We did the agent route, and the usual nice generic, not quite for us, enjoyed it but not for us kind of thing, if we heard from them at all. And at the end, I was saying this is roughly how much it would cost based on a book that I've got on my Shorts or Flashes, the short story collection, similar length. So if you ordered one book from Amazon, it would cost £3 author copy, £3.48 plus £2.81 postage, so £6.29. And then you get no royalty on that. That's the cost plus postage and Amazon's cut. Then 10 copies would be £3.48 basic price plus £4.72 postage, which would work out at £3.95. So £6.29 down to £3.95 each for 10 copies. 25 copies would then be £3.80 each, because postage then comes down the more you order. And then 50 copies, which he's ordered, he's ordered 30 at £3.74. So the difference between 10 copies and 50 copies is 21p a book. So depending on, I've got so many titles that I tend to wait until I need a few and then order a sort of £300, and then it's a lot cheaper.
I've found local printers, the printer I use, very, very good, and the books arrive on time and they're nicely packaged. If you order from Amazon, although they're cheaper, they use really cheap boxes. And I spent a year trying to get stock from them, where they would go to the Redditch distribution centre and get destroyed. And one of our colleagues in New Street Authors has had the same experience. And so from Amazon, I tried to order 20 or less books in a go.
Right.
But that means you're paying more postage because you're not buying as many books, but at least they arrive. You know, so.
Yes, no, exactly. I've been quite, other than the odd little scuff, I've been lucky the last couple of times I've ordered them. But you do have to make sure, and of course they tell you when you order it, they tell you when it's going to arrive. And invariably, nicely, it'll be a day or two early. But you do have to remember, we've got 2 parcel boxes, but only the sort of, whatever it is, a couple of feet by a couple of feet square. And so if I'm ordering £300 worth of books, they're not going to fit in there. So you do have to make sure that you're home when they arrive.
Yeah, they do. You try to time it so the delivery is when you're in, and then they deliver it 2 days early. But I've had to, it was a year of trying to get stock. I'm going to events to launch books without stock. Terrible. And one time, actually got the books delivered in my hand. I got the box, took it into the lounge, put it on the coffee table. And the box disintegrated. You literally couldn't. The books were fine, but the box just went to pieces. Just the impact of the coffee table.
Wow, that's crazy. You'd think with fragile and non-waterproof books, but no, I've been quite lucky the last couple of times I've ordered them. But I got really excited the other day, and when John Moore in New Street Authors put up the link to Glasgow's biggest, I don't know whether it's the country's or Scotland's or the UK's biggest indie bookshop. And I got really excited because I misread it as a bookshop full of self-published indie authors' books. But it's an independent bookshop. And it looks beautiful, but it does make me wonder. And as there's a video, you can click on the link and it takes you to a video of all these traditionally published books. So I do wonder whether they have a indie author slot. But my local, not Aylesbury, but Tring, they do have a shelf for indie authors, which is fabulous, except it's at the back of the shop on the floor, and you literally have to go like that to see them, on your knees, to see them.
We are second-class citizens in a lot of ways, aren't we?
Mm.
Despite the fact we're the majority.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But you were saying, you were saying earlier about people not knowing independent authors, and in The Guardian, they published the 100 most popular books of all time,
Right.
rated, and then they did another recall of the readers, not just the writer's choice, but the reader's choice of the 100 best books. And most of them are 18th century books.
Right.
Or
Well,
19th century, should I say, 1800s, 19th
Yeah.
century books.
Yeah.
Middlemarch comes in at number one. Lots of Russian writers,
Right.
Dostoevsky, and all the rest of
maybe
it.
when they sent out the survey, everybody looked at it and went, "Oh, I want to be erudite here. I'll
Right.
suggest a book
Yeah.
like Middlemarch or
Plus,
something."
plus also, I bought George Orwell's because I'd never read Animal Farm, and so I bought
Okay.
an ebook, obviously out of print because there are various versions of the entire, and it's
Yes.
not a big catalogue of George Orwell's books when we were in Spain, and it was 49p for his entire back catalogue. And you can get so many classics online for free because they're out of
Yeah.
copyright and there's no estate, I assume.
Yeah.
There's no estate
Oh,
Yeah.
so
Well,
them.
that's yeah.
yeah,
So
you're
I
saying readers, aren't getting cheap or free books, are all from a
possibly,
particular period of history, and therefore they're their favourites. Yeah.
well,
mm,
or perhaps they read them at school and are rereading them, and because
yeah.
they're always going to be popular. It's like Frankenstein and Twilight, bringing back the vampire
Hmm.
Yeah.
for a
But
new audience.
I got a cross. It was a cryptic crossword clue, and the answer was Somerset Maugham. And I thought,
Yeah,
I don't know anything about him as a writer.
right. I only know
So I
his,
went
from his short
uploaded on my
stories.
Kindle his
Mm,
entire works, and I'm working my way through those at the
yeah,
moment. And I really like his style, but I just never come across it. Well, obviously I heard of him, but I just never read anything of his at all, and
yeah,
it's really good stuff.
yeah,
So
yeah.
yes, 99p's worth.
There we go for the yes, and I know he was prolific. But where do you see for you, Andrea? Where do you see your place in publishing? Is this something
Um,
you're going to because you're enjoying it, aren't you? And you are writing for
yeah, no,
yourself as well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, I mean, I've just published blogs, and then I get published in a magazine sort of every so
Mm,
often
yeah.
with articles. But the book writing, I just see myself with a couple of books, and maybe I will sort of turn my blog conversations with Marmite. It's in the ether. It's there. It just needs, sort of coming together.
Mm,
And I'm expecting to have an operation on my Achilles tendon very, very shortly.
yeah.
And then I will be sofa bound for some time. So this is when I've actually got this time planned for getting everything together and getting everything sorted out. So maybe, I shall survive with 3 books to my name, but
Yeah.
I've had a go at doing a bit of fiction stuff, and I really can't sort of get to grips with where I'm going with it. And I
Right.
have loads of ideas, and they're just all over the place. But
Mm.
there's got to be a reason for writing, and I just can't sort of find that reason. Um,
Are you thinking of them as novels or something shorter?
Very
Whether
much, almost, it's almost vignettes, this sort of idea of sort of encounters with people and
yeah,
and things that are sort of bizarre,
right.
um, that I find sort of very, very sort of peculiar and odd,
Yeah,
I ended up with in the sauna on sort of Brighton Beach. There were just 2 other people in the sauna, and I was just desperate to sort of leave and sort of go in the plunge pool.
right.
Um, and there was a wind whipping across. So when you pressed the button for the shower, you had to stand like a meter downwind to catch the
I
water
know.
because it was just coming across out of the
Yeah.
shower at right angles. And I just thought, this is just really bizarre, and my mind starts playing on the idea of sort of almost sort of following somebody around around the small sauna.
Mm.
They leave, so you leave. They come back,
Right.
so you come back. And you try not to do things like that, but it'd be
Yeah.
odd behavior. And I think it's people's odd behavior I sort of latch onto, and
Yeah.
I just find sort of quite bizarre and funny,
Yeah. Well,
including mine trying to
short
catch a
stories,
few
maybe.
clips out of the shower.
Yeah. I think a lot
So,
of people are daunted by the length of a novel.
yeah,
So I always recommend just writing short stories because this O. Henry started off as a short
yeah,
story. In fact, it was a piece of microfiction. It was less than a page, and it's ended up being a 6-book series so far. Although the first one was a full length, 78,000, and then the next one's a
yeah,
novelette. So they're sort of between
yeah.
50 and 20,000,
Yeah.
15 and
No,
20,000.
the length doesn't daunt me. The size of a book doesn't daunt me. And I was really quite surprised, when I sort of got to sort of well over 80,000 words, with the first one, and it was all together, and I felt there was stuff that I'd left out, and I'd left it out for a reason,
Right.
because I wanted to have a bit of flow with the book and not too
Yeah.
much background sort of thrown in
Right.
and to make it disjointed.
Yeah.
And I probably would have got it up to 120,000 had I have sort of put
Wow.
all the other bits in that I'd sort of considered as well.
Yeah.
So I think once you're in it, you end up living it.
Yes. Yeah.
Mm.
No. Exactly.
Um,
I say that fiction is just something that happened to because it's still got to be feasible. Something that happened to
yeah,
somebody you've made up because
yeah,
it's got to be feasible and relatable. I think,
yes, yeah,
or
yeah, yeah,
escapism if it's not relatable.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah, but
David.
yeah, no, I'm not the size or the number of pages in a book that
Yeah.
doesn't really sort of scare me,
No.
either for reading or for writing.
Yeah.
But when I set, as I said, I set out writing a book from the very different standpoint to most people.
Mm.
So I probably didn't really think about it too deep, too
No.
deeply before I
Oh,
put
well,
pen to paper.
I hope you can continue with even after book 3 that you continue within the industry. And
Well,
it's been
thank
lovely
you.
having you on here. So, I mean, your book,
Thank you.
NASA's books, will always be in the ether, so it will always be out there. So
Yeah,
there's always
yeah,
a place for you here, David.
yeah.
When
And it's nice to know that it's actually been read internationally as well.
yes, oh,
Yeah,
absolutely,
so yeah, yeah.
David. Where do you see publishing going? Traditional versus self-publishing. Big question.
I don't know. I mean, I used to believe that self-publishing would destroy traditional publishing. It would become legacy publishing, but I don't think that's going to be the case. I do think we need a viable alternative to Amazon.
Right.
I think Amazon is getting very lazy and it's trying to monetize the authors because it's in a monopoly position effectively.
Yeah.
And we desperately need an alternative because then Amazon would have to buck up its game. There's draft to digital and Smashwords combined. Maybe that will be the way forward. I just don't know.
Yeah. Yeah, some of mine, these 5, 1, 2, 3, 6, because there's 2 there. Those and those 2 are Amazon only. At the moment, I haven't re-enrolled in Select, but I think I probably will end up doing that because I earn more on Amazon than I do anywhere else put together by far.
They sell 80% of the world's books.
Yeah, but everything else is wide. And I didn't, because I think anybody who wants an editing guide or a workbook will buy it regardless. They don't, it's because Select really is only useful for Kindle Unlimited. So it's workbooks aren't necessarily the kind of thing that people are going to get on Kindle Unlimited. And I had an assistant back in the day who who put them on draft to digital for me. And every now and then I'll get something like 47p from Hoopla. That tends to be the one. You know, when I get my monthly result, I get 47p. You just think, is it worth coming out of Amazon to then?
I remember being wide, and I sold on Kobo to a bloke called Colin in Bradford. And that was it. I could name the person who bought it. When you're thinking, well, why am I going wide?
So are you your KDP Select? Are you with everything? Obviously, this is just ebooks. You can be wide with all your paperbacks.
Yeah, I think so. Yes. Yeah, no, I should be. I may have ticked the wrong box at one point, but yeah, I think they're all KDP Select.
Right. Because when I was publishing Jonathan's book, there's when you get to the pricing, there's an option for extended distribution, so it can go up elsewhere other than Amazon will do it, but obviously they take a cut. And bearing in mind we were only putting this was for the paperback, and if I think there was .co.uk, .com, and one other country where you could do that. The other ones were NA, not applicable, and he'd have made 4p on one copy. And I have heard that it's best not to tick the box if you're going to use something like Ingram Sparks or Draft to Digital, to not tick the Amazon extended distribution, because then one conflicts against the other.
But also, I've heard
it's not worth it.
Yeah, I've also heard that if you tick extended delivery and they deliver to somewhere, bookshop or something like this, it's on sale or return.
Right.
If the bookshop then decides not to have them, you have to pay the postage coming back. So ticking that box, you can end up very out of pocket.
Yeah.
I mean, I did hear of somebody.
I didn't see it was worth it.
No, so there's a danger attached to it.
Yeah. David, as our resident, been there, done it, written the book about it.
Written the book about it, yeah.
How do you think? Again, this is a big question. How can the self-published author / the self-publishing industry get more kudos? Do you think there is something that we could do to get it on places like Hay on Wye, other than selling a gazillion books? Or is that the?
I mean, I have tried to contact a literature festival to get indies associated with it, but they didn't want to know, because they get funding, and the funding is applicable to traditional publishing, so they're kind of trapped in that area. Yeah. I think the only way is to start fringe events around those sorts of literary festivals, and just announce we're doing this in the pub next door or something.
Yeah.
And I suppose I've become a little bit belligerent. If people say, you're not properly published, I give them a piece of my mind on the subject. Yeah. I also say, if you're traditionally published, you have been published by the publisher. That's a passive voice. Whereas I'm a self-publisher. I have published myself, active voice. Much better to do things in active voice in fiction.
And we're always going to be more invested in our books than a publisher is. Unless you are a Richard Osman, where you're making them loads of money, we're going to be bottom of the tree, and therefore bottom of the marketing budget.
Yeah. They've done so much cost cutting for traditional publishing that mistakes that I would not allow in my books get through. I read traditional published books and they're badly formatted spelling mistakes and things. Whereas I'm, bashing myself to death trying to get rid of all of mine.
Because I think it's a given from a reader's point of view that if a book is traditionally published, it will be perfect. If it's self-published, because I was very disappointed, but I don't know exactly, because I haven't sent an email out asking the ticket holders how they found out about Self-Pub Fest, which is on my list to do. But I know a lot of the people attending in April were authors themselves. But for those who weren't, because I know from doing the book swap libraries, looking after the book swap libraries for a couple of years, what a good reading community we have here. But the thing I've battled with is the fact that Self-Pub Fest is the all-day, obviously not these individual events, but the all-day festivals will host self-published authors only. And advertising it as Self-Pub Fest, I've now changed it to meet the, in brackets, indie, close brackets, author, rather than Self-Pub Fest, because it implies that it's just for people who want to self-publish a book, which, yes, to a point,
yes.
it isn't.
You're pitching to readers, really.
Yeah, I want to pitch to readers, yes, because the whole point of authors, other than having them network for the day, is to sell books to readers who read books.
I mean, there's an amazing amount of snobbery over it. And I must tell you this little story. There was a very small literature festival that happened, and I was invited onto the self-publishing panel that they were going to have. Went along, and the person before us was an agent.
Okay.
And she was asked about self-publishing towards the end of her session, and she trotted out all of the arguments against vanity publishing. And you go, oh, you've missed the point. So I went up to her and I said, do you mind if I quote what you said and correct it?
Right.
And she said, oh, no, not a problem. So panel runs. I give my introduction. I happen to be the first person to introduce myself. And on the Twitter feed, somebody said I was converted to self-publishing within the first 20 seconds. So clearly I must have said something right.
Yeah.
Anyway, we did the panel. I talked about what this agent said. I said, no, it's not. That's vanity publishing. This is independent publishing. And then afterwards, I went to her to ask her opinion. And I started this conversation. She really didn't want to talk to me. She was looking away. She was just, you're some independent self-publishing scum, as far as I could make out. And I said, there was me. I've just started out. I've done this, that, and the other. She wasn't interested. Then there was this other person on the panel who does these books on history and does talks on history and sells her books that way. This agent was not interested. And then I talked about this final person along the table as I was going, who's a hybrid publisher. His last independent book sold 30,000 copies. And her head swung around like a sort of lighthouse beam. Suddenly she was interested. And I thought, all of that stuff you were talking about, curating the work and looking after nonsense. You're just interested in money.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. So in a way, I'm a self-publisher. I'm not interested in money, thank goodness, because I'm not making any. But I am interested in writing a very good book and making sure it's properly formatted and all the rest of it. And giving my fans what they want. Yeah. That's the game for me.
Well, as we know, it's all in getting the name out there.
Yeah.
Now that brings me back to why I wanted support, because I wanted to produce a good book. And now I know what I know now. I know I can do it. But when I set out last year, I was just, I don't know, confronted with a massive great wall of so much that I really did not know. So I've had a learning journey, and it's been a good learning journey, and I've enjoyed it and I've grown from it. But I think if, as I've said before, if I'd actually set out to want to write a book, I would have gone about it in a very, very different way over a period of time and found out far much more about publishing industry before I actually set out and did what I did.
We do.
The advice to people, the advice to people in your situation is, well, I have to say, buy my book, obviously, buy my book.
Yeah, I'm sold.
Get in touch with people here. Get in touch with Morgen at the Self-Pub Fest. I co-run New Street Authors, so you can join that and get lots of advice from a collective of independent authors, or just advice from us. We've advised people who haven't joined, because we don't want people to get scammed, and we want books to be better.
Yeah. We have a Zoom every Thursday, most Thursday evenings, 7 o'clock. And there's normally a theme, but it's anybody can ask anybody anything, and there are various WhatsApp groups depending on what we're talking about. So it's a wonderful network. There we go.
And we've got people in Bristol and Edinburgh and places. Was it Glasgow? No, Edinburgh, I think.
Right. And possibly one from America. There was that lady who did a talk the other day.
Yeah.
Who was
Yeah.
considering joining, or Canada, I think she was Canada. Sorry, Canada. Don't like America.
Yeah, don't get them muddled up.
No, exactly. But I think we can conclude that the publishing industry is an interesting place to be, a challenge, but a wonderful network. And I think probably not going to be dissuaded from continuing our journey as self-published authors. The thing for me, I think, from marketing is because I like doing blog tours. So I like book tours, but online, because as David said earlier on, that we like reviews when they give us some feedback, so that we, especially positive feedback, that we can quote on our books. The top of O. Henry, there's a little quote. Oh no, I've got one here. One for the road. That one had me hooked, Donna Maguire. And so that went on a blog tour when it came out. And so I think they are the best use of money, I think, because all you're doing, Amazon, obviously terms of service, you can't pay for reviews. And that's what some of the spammers and scammers are saying. Pay us and we'll review your books. And so whenever I see this online, I go, that's actually against Amazon terms of service. But blog tour operators charge for their time. The bloggers don't charge because they're getting free books, and they already have a network of hundreds, thousands of readers who are looking for the next recommendation. And so when you have a tour for 3 days, 5 days, 7 days, depending on 1 or 2, 3, 4 bloggers every day, and they put the review up over that set week, and then there am I on Canva doing my little promo things with the book, slotted into a preset picture with the reviewer's quote on it. So worth every penny for me for that. So there we go. And at some point I shall go back to my Amazon reports and catch up and not let it lose money on the jobs list. Okay. So thank you, Andy. Thank you, David, as always. I'm not sure whether we will be speaking again before your holiday, but I hope you have a wonderful time and that the weather is nice to you.
I'm taking my next book with me to proofread.
Ah, yes. Yes, do show us, because you were asking in the group about the cover. Is this your final version of your cover?
No, I'm working on 5 books at the same time, so
yes.
No wonder people are confused by what I'm doing.
Right.
The cover I asked about online was this one, so this is a proof copy.
Oh yes, see, I like that. It's very fitting.
See how badly it's cut, though. That's Amazon's cut that wrong. That's supposed to be, mirroring that.
That's the trouble with having borders. I learned have a wrap around. I know that. I like that. That fits in well with the style of Richard Osman, where it's a pale background with a frame and a. I can't remember what they call it. That's exactly
the market I'm going for. And then I got my fantasy book here, which I'm going to proofread, which I'm miffed about. This banner they put across here. There's a volcano just here, which you can't see. And I can't check whether that works or not, because so I don't know how to get around that problem. Yeah.
Yes, well, I don't get proof copies. I just publish it and then order copies and hope that it's all right.
I get a proof because I find going through that with a red pen, I spot things that I don't spot on the computer.
Yeah, I print them off. So I have this. I mean, this is a blank one, but I have this kind of folder fuller and just print them all off when I work in progress, because there is something not reassuring, but something not rewarding, a reword, where you go through it on paper and read it on
Yeah.
a different part of your brain.
Well, I would agree with you, and take it a stage further, the actual physical book, because you spot things that you wouldn't otherwise, on the cover and so forth.
Yeah.
Have you seen, is it the Kindle Scribe? Do you think you could put one of your own books on that and edit it?
Yeah, I mean, some of my beta readers go through a PDF version and scribble on it, and then I get a PDF with the scribbles on it. And a Kindle Scribe, a fan asked me to sign his Kindle Scribe, so I have signed an ebook.
I saw a still.
Oh, wow.
I saw a still from that. I think it was on Facebook.
You can read books on Kindle Scribe as well as write on.
He reads the book and he said, "Would you mind signing this?" And I could sign it. Sign an ebook.
I love the idea. I don't. They're quite expensive, though, aren't they? A couple of £100, I think, probably.
Yeah, I think so.
So I have a Kindle Fire, which will. I don't know if the Scribe has text to speech, but I use it whenever I'm working on my own books or client novels. I have the Kindle Fire read it out to me, and it's brilliant for the wrong word, like through, thought, tough, though, and so on, and any missing words, because your ear picks up. Your eye won't necessarily pick up a missing word, but your ear will. So that's how my asset to editing. Yeah. So we will be talking on the 13th of July, I think it is, about writer's toolbox.
Oh yes.
So what a writer needs in their toolbox. And I listened to, I'm a bit behind, 2 indie authors podcast, and they have author, and it's a set format, and they interview authors. And one of their questions, I think it's a set of 7 questions, and one of the questions is, what is your what can you not do without? And I think it would be my Kindle, other than Word, the usual, it would be my Kindle Fire, because I love listening to it. And yes, it's a Mrs. Kindle AI, but David, give me your definition of AI, because I said incorrectly that we've used AI for years, like Google searches, but it's not the real definition of AI, is it? To do things like that a computer will help us with.
I don't think AI is a particularly useful expression now, because it's being misused so much. Yeah. These large language models. I mean, there was a program called Raptor back in the 1980s that wrote prose exactly the same way that this ChatGPT does.
Right.
And it's remarkable to me that it's suddenly taken off when 45 years ago it was already being done. But people are, Google is just a big database to put stuff together. It's not really AI. The large language models are just predictive things, tell you what's the most plausible next word in a sentence. They're not really intelligent as such. Then you've got expert systems, which you program stuff in, that play 20 questions with you. I remember seeing one that does diagnostics for hospitals. So a doctor would type in something and it would say, does the person have blood pressure problems? And it would measure their blood pressure, put in the, and it would play 20 questions to diagnose you.
Yeah.
But that's not intelligence, not sentient, conscious intelligence, is it?
Right.
There really isn't one at the moment. Yeah.
It reminded me when you just said that there's Tim's, and I see some of it, the Pit, sort of I don't know if it is a reworking, very similar to ER back in the day, and it's got his name begins with an A, I can't remember what it is. One of the original doctors from that is the lead in the Pit, and it's all about ER in Philadelphia, in Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
And one of the newer doctors has brought in, senior doctors has brought in, I don't know whether they're on the same level, I think. And she's brought in this looks like a tablet where it does exactly that. So people put in symptoms and it comes up with what it suggests. And there's been some things working. Some work and some don't.
Well, that'll be an expert system. So an expert has sat down and thought through the questions and gone through the tree and come up with a solution. So it's really a database. It's not AI as such. But I mean, people rely on this what they call AI when it comes up with answers. So we had a New Street Authors meeting where someone said they were going to check something by asking AI, and you're thinking, excuse me, really check something? They're just not accurate. Yeah. They're not reliable.
Well, it's interesting because I think that was the conversation where, I don't know whether it was you said that Wikipedia, when we used to look up things on Wikipedia, the advice was then search 2 other places to check that Wikipedia is correct. Now it's gone the other way. If we do a Google search, we get what they call AI result. And now you go onto Wikipedia to check that the AI from the Google is correct.
I mean, Wikipedia is pretty good. I seem to remember it was 68%. There was a test comparing it with Encyclopedia Britannica, and Encyclopedia Britannica was slightly more accurate than Wikipedia. The shocking part was how inaccurate Encyclopedia Britannica was.
Wow.
But of course, Wikipedia covers significantly more, and it's being continuously checked. So it is improving all the time.
And
so
I would. Team.
Yeah. I would believe Wikipedia most of the time.
But I think the thing, because obviously you mentioned about ticking the box that have you used AI, and what that means is really, and this is what agents don't want, is that you've used something to create some of the writing. And there was I think somebody had won a short story, quite a prestigious short story competition, and it was found out afterwards that she'd used AI to create some of the story. And I think that's the concern, because obviously we use automated systems for Canva for creating images, for creating book covers. We're using computers in various aspects, but we do the writing ourselves. So we can then confidently tick the no, we haven't used AI box, because we've done it in our research for every aspect other than the actual creation.
I mean, it comes down to a human thing. We're social animals. We need to communicate. I, as a writer, have things I want to say, and I write them in. It would strike me as pointless if I got AI to do it for me. But I'm not saying anything.
But we write to entertain, and if the end product is something that somebody enjoys reading, should we question where the ideas come from? I'm just putting a completely other side of the argument. Is it Luddite to say AI should have absolutely no part in our creative process because it's not us that's done it?
I would say we shouldn't use AI, because if readers are just reading stuff generated by AI, it's purely entertainment, it's purely money, it's nothing to do with the human condition. And you're not addressing the need of writers and everybody to have some sort of artistic output. I think it's going to destroy what it means to be human.
I think it would change the point where we've talked before about having, because Andrea's name is Tiny at the moment. Hopefully not so much. Hopefully you will be at the top and then NASA will be underneath as the subject of your second, your revision of your book cover. But it's like Lee Child book. Lee Child, massive. The title can be whatever. It doesn't matter what the title is. People are going to go and buy the book because it's Lee Child, or Lee Child / Andrew Child, his brother. Yeah. And so people buy a book because it's written by that author. But I don't know whether, David, it was something you said the other day where somebody had planned to write something ridiculous, like 10,000 books a year.
Yeah,
by
a
using
couple of years
AI.
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And so Amazon have
right about,
restricted.
yeah,
Amazon's
it was.
restricted how many books you can publish in a day. You can publish 3 books a day, which is still 1,000 books a year. But they were
This guy
openly
was
going to do it with AI.
He was going to do 10,000 books in the rest of the year, so it wasn't even a full year. I think it was about now June-ish time I read about it, and I sat down and did the maths. And if he worked 5 days a week, 9 to 5, with an hour off for lunch, he would have to produce a book one every 10 minutes. So there are books going out in his name that he can't even have read.
No.
And you think, well, what is the point of that?
Yeah.
You know.
But I wonder what would happen if you had used AI in the writing. You tick the yes box, it's used AI. What would happen then? Amazon flag up?
I don't think Amazon are doing anything with that information yet. They're just gathering it.
Yeah.
But there is a move against AI from readers. I did a panel at EasterCon about book cover design, and somebody said, "Is it all right to use AI in book cover design?" And the reaction against the idea was visceral. It was really, I was sitting on the panel and I went, as this reaction came across, because although they were saying something I agreed with, I wasn't prepared for how strong that reaction was going to be. So I think people have had enough.
Yeah, because now when I'm working through Facebook, when I open Facebook and there are all these numbers, and I go from home button to reels, and and of course once you see one thing, Facebook then shows you until the year dot of dog rescue stories, or where somebody had moved across country and the dog had escaped and they reunited 2 years later. And then they look so authentic. And then you read the blurb at the bottom and it says AI generated for something like entertainment and reconstruction or something. And so now you can't even believe what you're looking at. And it's not a new thing.
No,
they used to be able to tell. And now you can't even tell.
It's the biggest problem we have in the world is misinformation. It's absolutely huge. It's too easy to generate nonsense and disseminate it, and people,
But you know when I think they're sort of semi-adverts, they sort of promise you something like straight toes, for example, and they go on a sort of a roundabout blurb, and it just goes on and on and on until this doctor sort of promises you this, that, and the other, and then you have to click something to pay money to find out the next thing. I'm sure those are AI generated. I mean, they're just so similar in their style of writing.
Yeah.
They even have sort of adverts on YouTube that are of the same vein. They just don't get to the point of what the advert is.
Or it's part one, and you
along.
See the comments for the link to the second advert, and then if you go to the comments, you see all these people going, "Well, what did happen in the end?" And so much clickbait. Google saying, "Or major airlines folded," and you're about to go on holiday, and you go, "Which one?" And it turns out to be something you've never heard of. It's not actually a major. It
is a massive problem. We've invented the internet, which is one of the greatest inventions of all time, and we've now ruined it.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
But
when I needed to find something else, I used to walk to the library.
With our
an afternoon well spent, and I now spend 5 minutes clicking with my finger to find out something. It's
and then the rest of the afternoon being taken somewhere else because you've gone off at so many tangents that you've still ended up spending the afternoon, but not at the library.
Indeed, so have we.
Down a rabbit hole.
Yeah, but no, it's very encouraging that readers are they're not. Some will obviously be quite happy with whatever AI splurges forth, But we do this. Readers want the emotion from the book. One of my 4 E's. Just added another one. 4 E's. That they want to feel some kind of emotion by reading a book. And if it becomes a two-dimensional without heart and without emotion, then, you know.
But
I do agree with you, but I was just sort of throwing
no, it's fine. I would agree with you, Morgan, except I would say that even if the AI books elicit emotion, it's missing the point. It's a human-to-human communication thing.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
That's what artists want.
Absolutely. Yeah, no, I will never. I would rather write a book every 2 years, which has probably been about my average so far, than not write every single word.
Yeah,
that's the whole pleasure. I write for pleasure. I would rather give my books away, and I have done. Would rather give my books away to be read. Then yes, it'd be lovely to make loads of money to be a full-time writer, but I would rather do it honestly. And get the pleasure from it. There's nothing quite like killing off my former next door neighbour. Whenever I need a shopkeeper, he is my former next door neighbour. Anyway, there we go.
If somebody comes up to you and says your book was brilliant, you can feel a great deal of satisfaction and warmth. But if you use ChatGPT and somebody says your book was brilliant, you go, well, I'll let ChatGPT know.
Yes, exactly.
But what would the point?
Yeah, no, exactly. Indeed. Thank you, Andy. Lovely to see you.
Well, thank you.
Good luck with your op.
Oh, thank you. I'm not sure when it's going to be yet, but I will be unable to put my foot down for a full 3 weeks. So I'll have to hop for 3 weeks before they put a plaster on it.
Right.
So,
well, having broken my ankle 3 years ago on a romantic beach walk in Sussex, you have my every sympathy. Thank you, David.
I went through a period of my life breaking a leg all the time, so you have my sympathy a lot.
Wow.
Oh.
Well, touch wood. Have a pain-free thereafter. And have a wonderful holiday, David, if we don't speak.
Thank you, indeed.
On WhatsApp, if not before. All right, thank you, everybody. Bye-bye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.